Welcome to another Tuesday training. This is going to be a little bit different than our normal Tuesday evening training. So my name is Stephen Nagy. If you've been on the last normal Tuesdays, we're usually talking about the infinite banking concept and becoming your own banker through something called the money multiplier, and a really cool concept that we do. But tonight we changed it up a little bit because what we do with becoming your own banker and the infinite banking concept is one of the most powerful strategies I've ever seen. Greg takes advantage of it. Brandy uses it. Claudia, I don't know if you have a bank right now, but I know everybody in your team is getting their own policy started, especially with Carson on the team now. So love to see it. It's a great thing. But one of the challenges that we have with creating banking systems and the infinite banking concept is we don't really account for qualified funds. So all of the money that goes in is after tax dollars, and then you get some benefits once it's in there, but it operates a lot differently than a qualified retirement account. So when Chris and myself and our team looks at money and what we do with Money School, we want to look at all different aspects of money and where all of your money is. So you guys have heard this on trainings before. We always talk about, okay, where is your money? What money are you making? Where are you investing? And how can we take full advantage of all the laws that are on the books to basically make our money growth and our investing as efficient and maximize the gains as much as possible? And then when we look at things like the three wealth killers, why over 95% of people will never be able to retire financially secure, we look at inflation, we look at volatility, and the third wealth killer is taxes. Taxes just absolutely demolishes wealth and demolishes financial goals for most people. And so we want to be smart with what we're doing. So there's laws that are on the books that we can take advantage of. And these are what we call retirement funds, qualified funds. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight is retirement accounts. So you probably have heard of them: IRAs, 401ks, SEPs, Simples, HSAs. These are all different types of retirement accounts or retirement arrangements as the IRS calls them, that allows us to put our money into a vehicle and grow it either tax-free or tax-deferred and be able to use that money in retirement. So what a lot of people don't realize, though, is those retirement funds, we don't have to give up control of that money. We can keep control of that, and we can control how that money is invested and where it's invested. Things like business and real estate and things where we can control that money. So that's what we're here to talk about here tonight. And what we've done is we've partnered with, and we have a great relationship with one of the best training companies out there when it comes to how to invest your retirement accounts, and that's Horizon Trust Company. So Horizon Trust, I don't know if you guys can see everybody on the screen. Let me check the view. So just say if you can see all of us, say Horizon team in the chat box, if you can see everybody on the screen right now, or can you just see me? Because I want you to see the whole team that's on here right now. So we have Mr. Greg Herlean, I'll introduce you to in just a second, founder and CEO of Horizon Trust, and then Claudia and Brandy, who are the behind the scenes that, as you guys know, for every solid CEO and owner of a company, you have the real people that are actually running things, right? So that's where Brandy and Claudia come into the picture. And so they've joined us here tonight. So I want to introduce you guys to Greg Herlean, and just to give you my personal story, how I met Greg. And I got some really cool books that Greg has written over the years. So I don't know if you can see these, but look at that. You can see this is the most modern one. Look at that picture. And then this one was from a few years prior. So you can see that picture of Greg. And then we got, I think this might be one of the originals. What do you think, Greg? So I've known Greg for quite some time, and he's been doing this for a very long time. And Greg's experience when it comes to not only self-directed investing, but real estate and just how money works and being able, Greg's superpower, as I like to say, is taking money and just being able to explode it and multiply it and figure out these ways just to be very efficient with his investments and growth. So with that being said, Greg, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you, Stephen. That's a little blast from the past. I don't know if I like that last book that you showed me, book cover, but yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, no, definitely. And thanks for being here. So I know we're going to get into this a little bit with what is self-directed investing and what is Horizon Trust and how can you guys help? There's a lot of people on this call right now. So how you guys can help them starting right now today. But do we want to introduce maybe Brandy and Claudia real fast, or maybe you want to do that? I know you've been working.
Yeah, I'll do it real quick. And yeah, so absolutely. I like that you said there's real people, in fact, better people, stronger people than me. And yes, these are a couple of them here, Brandy and Claudia, who are incredible. They've worked on my team. Brandy's been with me for I don't know how long, very long. time. And we've got a really big team to help individuals. And the purpose of it, and Claudia and Brandy are here really to hear kind of a little bit more of what I'm going to share. So that way, when you get on a call, or if you decide you have questions about something, they know exactly what I talked about. And they're experts in this field and really good about helping people finding, where they're at right now, where you might be at right now, and where you're trying to, go or try to accomplish. And so I do want to preface as well, we are part, this whole banking concept. I've been all in, I think, in the banking with the insurance policies for 8 or 9 years now. I've bought several policies, and, trying to create a bank and trying to, keep my money and not pay it to Uncle Sam is probably one of the most important things. You talked about it. I mean, obviously keeping up with inflation is important. But what we're really, really good at, and my team's really good at, is showing people, you and I'm going to talk about this a couple of times, Stephen, you and I can invest in the same exact thing and get the exact same returns, but 5, 10, or 20 years from now, my account can be double the value of yours just by using some of these tools that we're talking about today. So I'm going to share some of those things with you, but I'm also going to share a couple new things for some of you that might have heard from me before, a couple new things as well that I'm going to show you on where you can actually find money for your deals, or find money for your business. If some of you are looking to build, you don't have a retirement account, and you're like, this might not be for me. Actually, you're wrong, because when I started in this world, when I was 23 years old, I had no retirement account. I was looking for money. And so I'm also going to talk about actually how to find money and how to build your business. But most importantly, as you build it, not pay the taxes on it as well. And so I get excited about it because it's just more money in my bank account. I can put more in these insurance policies that I can now lend to myself and just keep churning the money over and over again. So anyways, a little bit of an intro to Brandy and Claudia, but thank you for being here. They are incredible on the team. And I know we've been working together for years too. I know you've got a policy, an account with us as well. So we've been working for quite a few years together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of friends and family. And I just say that about Brady and Claudia because everyone that knows Chris and the Money School team, they know that Sean is doing, all the work, and Andrew and everybody behind the scenes. But we do have fun. And what you're saying, Greg, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the 3 wealth killers, right? Inflation, taxes, and volatility, self-directed investing starts to eliminate all of those because we're taking advantage of where we're not paying taxes, or we're getting tax breaks now on our money. We're keeping that money moving and making more money. So when we look at inflation, like you said, not only is they're keeping our money moving and growing above inflation, but also it's giving us more money in our pockets that we can go out there and invest and have money for now, which helps with inflation, especially when it's running right now like it's been for the last year or so. And then we look at, the volatility, and that's the idea of self-directing, is being able to control that money, not have it in these vehicles where it's tied to the stock market and the constant ups and downs. I mean, last week we were down a couple thousand points. This week we're back up at that. I mean, I can't even keep up with it. So people that actually have their money, real fast, I was comparing this last week, and I really think it's a solid. So last week, that hurricane coming in, like I don't watch the news barely at all. I don't turn on the TV or any of that stuff. And this hurricane's coming in. So I'm like constantly looking at my phone and turning Weather Channel on. I was even working last week with it on my other screen, the Weather Channel, watching this thing. And I start thinking, I'm like, because it's coming to Florida, I live here. I have properties over exactly where it hit. So I got to know what's going on. So it's top of mind. And I feel like I didn't get as much work done last week. And I start to think that's how most people's lives are. They're looking at their 401ks and they're watching the stock market and they're like, dear God, I'm never going to be able to retire with this happening. So it's just how do you get anything done with that stress? And then you look at just the fact that money stresses people out. It causes divorces, it causes deaths. And it's just, there's no reason for it. And so I can't wait to listen to you here tonight, Greg. And because like you said, you're going to not only talk about, what this can do for them in their retirement funds and how to start growing wealth, but how to access the money and really start creating those and reaching those goals. So let's dive into this.
You nailed it. I mean, that's one of the most important things is I'm going to show you how you have access and control of your money, which is so contradictory of what's really out there. And that's why people are freaking out, because they're just looking at their statements. They're going on their phone, looking at their app, and it's going up and down. They have no control and no say. And so that needs to change. That's got to change. And what I'm going to share with you today, only 5% of Americans are actually even doing, but mostly it's because they don't know they can do it. And so that's what we'll talk about a little bit today. And then we'll also talk about some of the tricks. And I want to give you some examples of people that in this year have opened up accounts from scratch and what they're doing as well. And so that I think that's the important part is you might hear about these subjects about tax savings and inflation and, these interest rates that you can make and compounding interest. But if you're not doing it, if you just keep hearing about it or reading about it, but not actually taking action on it, that's the difference. And so maybe you have to hear it 2 or 3 times and see how it applies to you. But I'll tell you right now, just kind of a little bit cutting to the chase. If you have an IRA, if you have an old 401k from a previous employer, which most of you all worked somewhere, got let go, or you left. If you have one of those hanging around, you or a spouse or a loved one, or if you're looking to start something where you're not paying taxes, start an account, this message is really for you. And if that doesn't apply, if you're not looking for money, don't have an IRA, or not 401k, it doesn't apply to you. But most people that I've met that actually are doing the infinite banking concept, that are actually really trying to compound their money and avoid paying taxes, this is the message for you. So anyways, do you want me to jump in here? I actually prepared a PowerPoint, which I usually don't do. So I will kind of skim through it a little bit, but it will keep me a little bit more on task. So do you want me to jump through that or you tell me?
Yeah, jump on with that. I'm going to switch the view over to just you, and then we'll put the PowerPoint up and it'll look good. Let's do it.
Let's see here. And this is the part I'm not good at. So let's see if technology. Can you see it or no?
Hey, you're better than Chris, man. Congratulations.
Wow. Well, I don't know if that's saying much. All right. So let me just real quickly get to this part. I think this is important because I think it's near and dear to my heart because of where I began. When I was 23 years old, had no money, no family had any money, and I was trying to get in the real estate world. And since then, obviously, I think that my why is absolutely my family, but also lifestyle. Definitely want to be with my family and create this lifestyle. And so been able to actually, create a few kids and also been able to help flip a few properties and lend a lot of money. But my passion is really showing people how to do that. And so I know at 23, if I was able to do it then, drop out of college and start my business, almost anybody can as well. So a couple of things we'll talk about. We're going to talk about the compounding interest, the power of it, and we're going to talk about taxes a little bit more, and then us finding money. So to get started, I think this is a good little example here, the power of compounding interest. Now, on the prior slide I had there is called the htccalculator.com. It's just a link you can go to, but instead of you going there, let me just help you here. I'm just going to put in an example of an individual, and I'm going to use a couple of different examples because this might not be realistic for many of you. I know, everyone's starting in a different place, but I just want to talk about the difference of compounding interest and not paying taxes on your gains and paying taxes on your gains. And so if you just take this example, 35-year-old wants to retire in 30 years and has a little bit of a nest egg and can put away a little bit of money at 8%, that's $8.5 million. Now, just bear with me on these numbers. Sometimes you might get a little bit bored, or the numbers get me excited. Hopefully they will as well for you, because this is about putting more money in your pocket. And we're really going to talk about laws that the government are taking advantage of. The big guys, in the Congress have made rules that they're all taking advantage of that you also can be and should be as well. So using those same numbers at 10%, I just showed you at 8%. 35-year-old that puts away this much money, but they'll make $8.5 million over that period. At 10%, it's $14.4 million. It went up $6 million just by making 2% more. 2%. At 12%, it's $24 million. That means if Stephen and I were both investing in the exact same things over the exact same period of time, I would have, and let's say he made 8% of his money and I made 12, I'd have $24 million in my account. He'd have $8 million just by 4%. And I share this with you because a lot of people think, oh, I've got to make 15, 20, or 30% a year of my money. You absolutely don't. In fact, a lot of people feel like they're behind in their investing. You might feel that as well as you listen today. You feel behind, that you might not be, ahead of the curve, and you got to start making these huge returns, taking too much risk, which then in turn, you could lose your principal. If you can just make 10, 12, 14% on your money and not pay taxes, it is a difference maker. If Stephen and I were actually to make the same exact return, both of us at 12%, the difference though, he pays taxes on his money every single year because he's doing it outside of a retirement account, and I'm doing it inside my retirement account. I would have $24 million. and he'd end up having around $8 to $9 million, investing and making the exact same return. The power of compounded interest is incredible. It will change your account. So one thing I have the slide in there because some people are like, oh my gosh, it's too late. I can't start my retirement account. I'm already in my 50s or even in my 60s. It is not too late. I might have started at 23, but when I started at 23, I didn't even open my first IRA account until I was like 25, 26 years old. And it was with $5,000. I started with $5,000. And we're going to talk about what that means. In fact, I wanted to share this example with you because typically there's always a few young people. My son is in this category now who thinks they're going to retire at the age of 50. So I made this one slide just for him because I think every 20-year-old thinks they're going to retire at the age of 50. So if you are 22 years old and you want to retire at 50 and put $1,000 and you have $1,000, just $1,000. I'm not like going crazy here. I think everyone on this call has $1,000 and can put away $6,000 a year, $500 a month at 12%. There you go. $1.4 million. Now, you and I both know $1.4 million is different than when it was when I was 23 years old a few years ago. But the power of this applies to anybody. And that's the point of this message is it is not too late. It doesn't matter your age. You can start a retirement account. And the difference between you starting it now and later is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I can't tell you, well, actually, I'm going to show you a couple examples of real life people that in this last year who've started accounts and what they've done. And this is probably this piggybacks on what Stephen, what you were talking about, the favorite stock that everyone has bought over their lifetime of investing in the stock market is what? What is their favorite stock? What is the symbol? HAP. What is that symbol? Hope and pray, baby. Hope and pray. That's what almost everybody invests in. They're buying that stock, they put their money in, and then they're praying that it's going to go up. And then typically what most people do, I find, is when the market's crumbling down, they're freaking out and they start selling. And you sell at the wrong time, you buy at the wrong time. This method and this way of thinking is the old way of thinking. In fact, right now, if you were to talk to most of your financial advisors, what are they saying? It's the long game. It's the long game. You got to wait it out. And there's some truth to that, by the way. I'm not here to hate on all financial advisors. I've got one. I have some money with a financial advisor. But what I have learned over my 23 years of really investing is I bet on myself. I want to bank on myself. I want to invest in what I understand. I can control my destiny and I can control my retirement account and control how much I pay in taxes, all of which I didn't know I could do, until I was in my mid-20s. I know that sounds weird because most people don't know some of these things till they're maybe in their mid-40s or 50s, but it's okay. So we're going to teach you about some of these things today, but don't make this the hope and pray concept of, I'm just going to put it in. In fact, I think most people, I know my mom, as I watched her and my dad investing growing up, that's what they would do. They'd put their money in an account and then they just look at the statement and they'd see if it went up or if it went down. That's it. They don't know where it was invested, what the fees were, and all they were hoping is it went up. And that's it. Then they'd file it away. And that's what most of America has been doing, which is the problem. So the self-directed IRA, let me just explain what that is, because some of you I think most of you probably know what it is, but I'm going to dive into some real examples of this after this slide, but I want to first explain what a self-directed IRA is. A self-directed IRA is what we do at Horizon Trust Company. Is we are a trust company that holds retirement plans. Self-directed is basically just language saying that you, the individual, can have an account held by us and you get to direct and tell us where you want the money to be sent. So you are in control of where the money's invested. So it's not a special kind of IRA, meaning it's not like a Roth IRA. Our clients that work with us have self-directed Roth IRAs, self-directed 401ks, self-directed traditional, simple SEPs, health savings accounts. So a self-directed would just be the words that you put in front of whatever you currently have. This is important because it's one of the kind of the confusing questions people will call in and be like, hey, I want that self-directed IRA thing. I don't want the Roth. I want the self-directed. The answer is it's a self-directed Roth IRA. And we're going to talk about the power of what that is. But our company's been around and we've been licensed for over 12, 13 years now. And this concept has been around since the 70s. And that's what kind of gets under my nerve a little bit is this is something that most people should know about. It's been around since the 70s. Do you know who's taking advantage of these self-directed accounts? Congress. The rich keep getting richer because they're using these rules that they created a long time ago, and they invest in their own businesses, in their own stocks, in their own real estate, and they don't pay taxes. This is something you too can also take advantage of. So those that can qualify for a self-directed IRA are let me go back, are people that have an IRA. If you have a Roth, traditional SEP, simple, an old 401k, if you have an old 401k with your previous employer, you also can apply, which and the strategy works for you, to move over your account, all or a portion of it, to a trust company like ours. Let me just say that one more time, because I'm going to talk about specific examples you can put your money into. But before I do so, I want to remind you again one more time that if you have, let's say, a $14,000 old 401k sitting at Fidelity or Charles Schwab, you can move a portion of or all of it to a self-directed account where it comes over tax-free. You don't pay any taxes on it or penalties on it. And now it sits in the account in your name and your retirement account, and you get to decide where you're going to invest it. And I'm almost certain, if you're actively engaged in banking and investing, that you will have better results than your financial advisor, who probably only calls you when he wants you to put more, or she wants you to put more money into the account so they can get more fees. And I know I'm hating a little bit on financial advisors because they're definitely not all bad. I've got some good ones as well, but I can tell you in general, most of them don't really care about. In fact, me, who owns a trust company, Claudia will get mad at me, I don't really care where you invest your money. I don't care about your money as much as you do. And that's normal, right? So it's not meant to be an offensive thing, but nobody cares more about your money than you do. So it is time for you to take back control, like Stephen introed this with. Take back control of your accounts, take back control of these. I mean, some of you on this call have 3 or 4 random little 401ks out there from different employers. It's time for you to take those back and put them all into one account and actually invest them and create real big value. So let's talk about that. What can you invest your money in if you're going to self-direct? Because that's the other thing. This is not for everybody. For those of you who are not actively engaged and involved in banking and actually involved in choosing your investments, it's not for you. If you're like, hey, you know what? I don't even know who to talk to. I'm afraid. I don't like this. I don't like real estate. I don't like businesses or gold or whatever the case is. The stock market might be okay with you. You might be comfortable with the hope and pray stock. And I get that. That's a plan that works for some people, just not typically for those that are engaged in kind of the education of taking control of their money. So I just listed a few things here. These are some, of the assets that you can invest in. I have a lot of clients that invest in oil. They invest in different businesses. They invest in different real estate funds. Some of you on this call are like, hey, look, I don't want to flip real estate because I have a full-time job. I can't actually put my IRA and flip, but you might know somebody, or there are also different people. I know Nagy with his money school, and Stephen, you've talked about as well, different places where you can actually put your money and someone else does the work. They find the opportunity and you are the lender, or you're the business, or you're the partner where you can actually get a good rate of return in your retirement account and you don't have to make any of the decisions. That's what I would say probably about 80% of our investors do. They take back their money from the stock market and they invest it in categories or industries that they're familiar with. And yes, and I'll get to it later, even Bitcoin, I would say that's not a hot topic anymore, so I'll just whisper now. But that was a hot topic a couple of years ago. But I would say our company is based upon typically people investing in businesses and real estate. Why is that? Because that's where I came from. That's what I've taught my team. And I created this company based upon trying to solve a need for our clients to invest in real estate and businesses. When I first got in the business, I was trying to find money to fund my deals, and I found it from other people's IRAs, and I would refer it to other companies, other trust companies. And those trust companies let me down. They were difficult to work with. And so I truly started a trust company just to solve the problem. And that was 13 years ago. Now, today, it's actually my main bread and butter. I love talking about how this changes lives. And I love meeting people every year now that have come up to me and like, I did that thing you talked about. Now my $5,000 is $65,000. And it was only 2 years. I mean, the returns are pretty incredible, and the tax savings are on just another level. So what can you invest in? Almost anything. There's definitely exceptions. You can't invest in like your own personal property. You can't invest in well, obviously drugs. You shouldn't do drugs anyways. But you can't, besides the personal property, you can't also do like your second home. If you have a second home and you use it, you can't do it with that. I have a lot of people actually buying Airbnb rental properties with their retirement accounts. You can't use them, but you can use them. You can buy them with your retirement account and avoid the taxes. The list goes on, and that's one thing that we'll talk about here towards the end. Is what's unique about what we do is we do a strategy session with you to help figure out where your account is right now and what you're trying to accomplish and what you want to invest in, to make sure we hold your hand through the process so it's super simple. That's, ease and speed is very important to us. So here, I wanted to give a couple examples of people, literally this year, you can see this, of an individual. And this is an example that I think, Claudia, you shared with me that came this year and opened up an account with us. Never had a retirement account. And I think Claudia is excited because she always wanted me to share this example. And I was sharing an older example before. This gentleman opened up an account. He put in $6,000 into his Roth IRA, okay, a Roth IRA. And he then wholesaled. I don't know if you know what wholesaling is, but some of you, if he put a wholesale for $1,000 under contract, and he sold it and made $16,000 on May 16th. From April to May in 1 month, he made $16,000. Not bad. How much did he pay in taxes? Zero. How much will he pay in taxes later? Zero, because it's in a Roth IRA. He did it again this year, June, another $1,000. July, $21,000. July, another one, $46,000. It goes on and on. Today, he started in April of this year, and today his account is worth $86,000. Now, I don't know what that math is. Stephen, you're better at it than me. I do like numbers, but I know this return is pretty hard to calculate. Probably not that hard, but I will tell you that this is a pretty phenomenal return. All this year. Now, think about what's happened this year. Wars, weather storms, craziness, the market up and down, inflation. This is what he made in his Roth IRA and his self-directed account with us at Horizon Trust Company. While the market was doing this, while the crazy was happening all around us, he invested in what he understood. And that's what's powerful about this. At Horizon Trust Company, we help people and individuals create a strategy and an account where you can invest in what you know and what you understand. That's what Kurt does. Doesn't mean that's what you do. I don't wholesale. That's not my jam. I kind of want to every time I share this example. But what I do is I typically will buy a property, an investment property, and then I'll flip it. And if I just do 1 or 2 of those every single year. I just did one actually in my self-directed IRA account. Actually, it's supposed to close end of this month. Very similar. It was not this rate of return, but it was like a 50% rate of return. And that happened over a fix and flip about 4 months. Taking advantage of rules that the government has approved from the 70s is a game changer. And it's so quick, people forget or just get disinterested, or they're like, oh, I can't touch that money, so I'm just going to do it later. I'm telling you, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's what I want to share with you right now. In this example, if someone were to get these same kind of returns inside of a self-directed IRA account or outside of an IRA account, I want to show you the examples. Inside with an IRA or outside here on the right-hand side, paying 30% of my taxes over 10 years, it's 50% difference. 50%. Over 20 years, it's 50% difference. Getting the exact same returns inside of an IRA or outside of an IRA. I share this with you because also a lot of you are going, when you looking forward to retire, many people look at, okay, I want to build this nest egg, and whatever that nest egg is, if I can make 8 to 10% of that nest egg now the rest of my life, I can live off of the interest rather than it just deplete and then I outlive my retirement account, which is what you don't want to do. And just think about this example right now. If 2 individuals had 1.5 or $900,000 in their retirement accounts, making 10%, that one person's going to get $150,000 a year in interest from their account. The other person's going to get $90,000 of interest per year, living off of their interest in the retirement account. Do you think the person making $150,000, $60,000 more than the other is going to live a little bit different in retirement? Just a little bit. And this is just by creating a self-directed Roth account. And just by doing whatever you're currently doing. If you're currently investing in whatever it may be, it could be gold. Right now, gold's a hot topic too, right? The different precious metals and different businesses. Whatever you're investing in, start doing it inside of an account that avoids taxes. Not only avoids taxes growing, but avoids taxes coming out, as you can do a Roth as well. So, this was an example I wanted to share as well. But for some of you, like, hey, look, wholesaling sounds cool or flipping, but I just can't do that. I've got 2 other jobs and I got 6 kids. I got it. I understand. I got 4. So I understand that it's sometimes hard to start doing too much. So there's other ways of actually investing your funds too in different, different funds or oil and funds or different businesses. You don't have to just do it all in, wholesaling or in real estate flips. Here's the same example, 12% interest rate. You can look at the numbers over 10 years, over 20 years, over 20 years at 12%, there's a $900,000 difference. Over 20 years, each individual would have put up $240,000. I would have 2 million, and outside, if I invested at the exact same interest rate in the exact same deals, but had to pay taxes every single year, I'd have $1.1 million in there. So this is powerful stuff where you can compound your interest. The power of compounding, I think I've shared enough examples about, but compounding and not paying taxes is the game changer. This is just for Steven here, just because I just thought it'd be fun. If you invested in Bitcoin, and no, I don't get that example. You don't even, no, I won't even go there. The power of taxes obviously is a game changer. So I only show this picture because it's a reminder of this is who typically America's listening to. And I'm sorry if you're one of these people there, you probably are not. It's a stock photo, but typically everyone listens and does what their parents and grandparents are doing. I mean, that they keep doing the old ways, and the old ways just don't work. The old ways are not going to have you prepared for retirement. And so, let me talk about one other. I want to leave a lot of time, by the way, also for questions, et cetera, too. And Steven, I'm sure you've got some. And so, I don't like to do all the talking, but I guess it is my presentation, so I'll keep going for a minute. But the solo Ks here, this is another question that people ask me about as well. Is okay, this concept sounds cool of self-directing, but tell me how this applies to me and maybe my business. And so let me talk about a solo K. Let me back up first. A solo K is meant for typically if you own an LLC or you have a business. Many of you have businesses or LLCs. If you have a business, we can help you set up and create a solo K. It's an individual retirement account for your business. And so once you establish that, and we help you, we'll do that for you. Once that's established, you're able to contribute a much larger percentage of money in your retirement account. For some of you on this call or that are listening, you're like, you know what, this sounds good, but just putting away the minimum of $6,000 per year, it's not enough for me. I need to put away more. There is an account for you that works where you can actually start really growing quickly. And this is the solo K. This is the individual 401k, solo K. There's different words for it or phrases for it. But this type of account allows an individual to actually put up to almost $60,000 per year in the retirement account as a contribution. So if you're in that boat right now where you're making a lot of money and you're wanting to put away more and catch up, this is the right account for you. You can put up anywhere from, $1 all the way up to about $60,000 per person. So this is a big, big deal. Let me give you an example of this. A lot of people also will open up an account with us and they'll want to fund a business. I'm using this example because it's one of my favorite grocery stores on the East Coast because I like to get the sandwiches there. And so if you are one of those individuals that are like, okay, I want to actually fund my business or fund a business. Okay, I'm going to fund a new Publix grocery store in the sandwich department. I'm joking. I don't even get any smiles from Steven on this. Are you with me, buddy, on your Publix stores? Is the Publix still out there with you in Florida?
Best.
So if there's any of you individuals that are like, hey, look, I want to fund or start my own business with my retirement funds, that is an option. If you're looking to get in a new business and you're needing money for it, you can actually create an account where we can help you do that. And your IRA or your retirement account can fund your business And your business then can go out and act as a business. Now, there's certain rules on what you can make and how much you can pay yourself, if anything. I'm not going to go into that because I think it's a little bit more detailed, and I'll go there probably a little bit later when there's some questions. But I want to give this example. Let's say that I wanted to fund a new business concept, and I'm using Publix or some other sandwich company, and I put $50,000 in an LLC, and I made 14% on my money. And I decided that I was going to contribute $2,100 a month, $25,000 a year. I could actually do that. So I want to first take a step back to make sure. This might sound a little confusing. I'm sharing this example because individuals think that they can only contribute up to $5,000 or $6,000 a year. So the point of this slide is two things. One, to tell you, you can invest in a business, period. The second point of this concept, or this, is to share with you, you can fund up to $60,000 per year. Take out Publix and the stories and everything else. I just want to first let you know that you can contribute up to $60,000 as long as you make a certain amount of money. If you make a certain amount of money, you can contribute a lot more. If you make less, you contribute less. It's normal. If you were then to contribute $50,000 per, in the beginning, and then also $25,000 per year, and make 15% on your money in this business, call it whatever business that you want to be invested in. I'm going to invest in Steven's business, let's say, and I make 14% of my money. After 10 years of $750,000 in there, and after 20 years, over $3.5 million in there. Just by investing in a business or a person or an individual or something that I understand. Just by making 14%. 14% was probably on the high side, by the way. We're not all like Kurt making 10,000% rate of returns. We're all, making a 10 to 15% rate of return is pretty dang good. In fact, I know most of America right now, I think I saw some comments before I started, someone even lost $4,000 in the last week. I can tell you almost everybody, if you're in the stock market, you lost it and maybe got it back. And now it's so funny because I hear people all the time, they're so pumped. They're like, yes, I made $10,000 back. It's because they lost 10,000 before. So they're actually cheering because they're breaking even. Breaking even is not going to prepare you for retirement. It's time for you to actually invest in your own business. Invest in someone else's business. Invest in real estate. Invest in what you understand, in gold and precious metals. This concept, what I'm talking about right now, only 4 to 5% of Americans are doing. There's 85 million IRAs in the United States, and only 5% of Americans, 4 to 5% of Americans are even doing what I'm talking about. Why is that? Mostly lack of education. Mostly people just don't know it's an option. The other reason why is it's not for everybody. Probably half of this pie chart should not even consider self-directing their funds. And I'm the first to tell you that. We are not here to help everyone set up a self-direct account who's not going to take action and actually pay attention and choose their investments. If you just want to put money away and not pay attention, then keep doing what you're doing. I'm sharing this with you also because when I was 23 years old and I was finding my first real estate deal, no bank would lend me any money. None of my family had any money. I was looking for a place where I could actually find money to fund my deal. My first deal was funded by an individual with his retirement account. He lent me $60,000. So I found the real estate deal. His IRA lent me the money. The contract that I had with his IRA was when the home sold, that he'd get 75% back of the profits. So it sold 90 days later, a little over 90 days. His $60,000 went back to his IRA, and so did a $12,000 check. Why is that so powerful? Because it changed my life. I learned about not only self-directing, but I learned about where this pot of gold is. Literally trillions of dollars of monies are sitting in retirement accounts where clients are not happy. In fact, most of you that have a retirement account are probably not very happy. Those of you on this call who don't have a retirement account should need to start one. But the other part of you in this group who are like, hey, look, I just want to do more real estate deals or other businesses, and I have no money. I don't know where to go. This is another place. Well, 30% of the people you know, family or friends, have an old IRA or 401k that you could be talking to that could be your potential banker. When I was 23 years old, I found someone who could become my banker. And I gave them back their money plus an interest rate, actually plus the percentage of the profits. And then when I did my second deal, did he reinvest with me? Hell yeah, he did. He reinvested with me. And then I did over and over again. Now the terms changed over time. It wasn't 75-25. It ended up being 50-50. And then I took 75 and he took 25, but I had to build that credibility. I had to build the experience and the returns with him. And so you too can do the same thing. So if you're one of those people like, hey, look, I'm looking for funding for my business or for my real estate or whatever the case is, or wholesaling, et cetera, 30% of the people around you, this is a concept that you should know. Before I owned the trust company, it sounds like a Rogaine hair commercial. I first was a real estate investor, but I was a IRA expert. All I would do is talk to people about what I'm telling you right now. But I was a real estate guy, but I was trying to find money for my deals. So I would teach people about self-directing and how powerful it was. So they then could partner with me and avoid paying taxes. I would flip different real estate deals. They did nothing. I did all the work. And when I flipped it, they got back their money and plus a percentage of the profits. I did it over and over and over again. So if any of you do need access to money, there's definitely that. This is also an option. That's my slide for there's money everywhere. I share this slide because I think it's interesting. The concept that I'm sharing with you right now is very similar to a current concept about buying a plane. Do you know right now, individuals today can buy a plane for $10 million, let's say, and they get a $10 million tax write-off. So let me just break this down for you. Typically, if you make $10 million, let's say you owe 50% in taxes, you'd pay $5 million to the IRS. Well, there's a law that's in place that's going to be changing where you can buy a plane, and that if you made 10 million and the plane was 10 million, you pay 0 in taxes. Now, how does that make any sense? Who created those rules? The rich. The rich created these rules so they can keep getting richer. I share this example with you because it's very similar, in my opinion, to self-directing. The rich have created rules that they're taking advantage of, and they continue to get wealthier and wealthier. Do you think these guys have made enough? No. I mean, of course they've made enough, but are they going to continue to make more? They're taking advantage of rules and IRS rules that allow them to avoid paying taxes or the least amount of taxes. And so these concepts that, I know Chris has talked about and Nagel's talked about, these are things that we live every day. They're things that we do every day. And so I think we have a lot of questions. And so before I break that, because I want to get to my last 2 slides, because it's more of like it's first a QR code, because Claudia said, do not do your presentation, because I get too excited and I just kind of end it. And I'm like, let's go to questions. But we're going to go to questions. We're going to answer a lot of questions. I'm going to dive deeper into some things that Stephen might have and others. But this QR code, I'm also going to give you my personal email address as well, is where you can set up a strategy session. We're going to help you and guide you through what the right type of account is for you. And there's no hard sell here. This is not a big, for me, I get great comfort and excitement to put your name up on a slide next year. It says, like Kurt's is on the slide, that says, I actually learned this with Stephen and Greg, and now I'm making my $6,000 turn to $86,000. Set up an appointment with us. We'll guide you through what's the right type of account. If you have an old 401k, you absolutely should fill out this. You just get with us. We're going to help you, show you how to move your 401k over your old 401k. Current 401k, what I want to just clarify, if you have a current 401k, you cannot move that 401k to a self-directed IRA. It has to be from a previous employer where you already worked. The other thing, I'm giving you my personal email. I respond to everybody's email. I get back to everybody. My team gets back to everybody. It's really important to me that we provide value and education and help you through your process. There's a lot of different scenarios. Every time I do this, I get, dozens of emails of individuals like, what about this? What about my mom's IRA or my dad's this? Or how do I apply this? We'll walk you through it. We'll actually help you, and we can help you find partners, with the people that to roll their IRAs and maybe fund your business. And so it's our job to help you find and locate, by the way, your old 401ks and your old IRAs and take control of them and set them up. And so I'll go back to this again and we'll go to some questions, but I wanted to, if I didn't do this, I know Claudia get mad at me for sure. This is my email. You can absolutely email me or use a QR code and set up an appointment, and we will help you get things set up. So I'll go back to this again, but before I do so, Stephen, what do you got for me, buddy?
All right, we've had some really good questions coming in, actually. Brandy's been on the ball, answering a lot of them, and we've been having the chat's been going crazy. So appreciate all the really good questions. I just put the link in the chat box too. So if anybody doesn't know how to use a QR code, or if you're on a phone, I still haven't figured out how to, if you're on the phone and get the QR code, because you can't take a picture of your own phone. And then you're like, well, what the heck? So anyway, the link's in there for you. So so you can schedule a call and get everything from the team. But yeah, let's hit some of these questions. Oh, and one thing, so there's the email, put that in the box as well. Craig at horizontrust.com. And then what I'll do is, are you done with the slides, Greg?
Yeah, I think I'm done with the slides. And so, and if you want contact information, I know Brandy and Claudia will be there, and I know you'll be there as well. So that's great. And so, yeah, I usually, like to be interrupted, and I don't do so much talking. So please give me some, pointers or questions you got now.
Hey man, you're on a roll. So we let you go there. It was good stuff. Yeah. So if anybody else has questions, keep those coming in the Q&A box. We'll start hitting some of these. And then let me just switch the view back over. Maybe you can see everybody here. Oh, maybe we're already on that. I don't know what's going on. All right, so maybe you can see everybody now. Let me just stop the screen share. Boom. And I was just going to show you guys one thing real fast, Greg, before we start answering these questions, because this is always one of my favorite. When you talk about it, it always reminds me of your boy Peter Thiel. Did you talk about that?
I didn't talk about that. No.
This just amazes me every time. So everybody knows who Peter Thiel is. He's one of the co-founders of PayPal and one of the billionaire, trillionaire characters that's out there, financial guy. And this was an article that came out not that long ago. So billionaire Peter Thiel, PayPal co-founder, but it came out and it says, this was from CNBC, Peter Thiel owns a Roth IRA that's worth $5 billion in 2019. So just think about that for a second. You're allowed to contribute $6,000 a year into a Roth IRA. So you got to be like 5 billion years old to be able to get $5 billion into a Roth, right? No, because he was very smart. And if you look at this, 2 decades earlier, so 20 years earlier, he had only $2,000 in that IRA. He used some of that money to invest into PayPal. Boom, made billions of dollars. Guess how much money he paid in taxes on that $5 billion? None, zero. So that's the power right there. And I believe, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually made some changes where you can't have $5 billion in a Roth now because of that, right?
Well, the change they made, and so thanks for bringing this up. This is a great example, like the rich getting richer. Like this guy knew the rule. He bought into a stock at $5,000, and then he's done it, 2 more times, and his Roth is worth billions of dollars. So they came out with the rule last year. They passed it. It's nicknamed after him. You can actually only make up to $10 million per year now in your account. Still, I feel like that's a reasonable number. I don't think it's out of control, but now there is some rules. You can only make $10 million a year. So I'm sorry for those of you that are going to make more than that. You can't do it.
No, it's good. All right, cool. Let's hit some of these questions. So let's see. Can you speak cleanly on a way of channeling funds from a self-directed to an LLC or a trust, which is best set up seeking business strategy prior to investing?
Yes. Yeah. So the easiest way, and some of the people that call this like a checkbook LLC, which is also something that we do. And so let's just say an example that you have a traditional IRA and you move it from wherever it's at, Fidelity, and you move it over to Horizon Trust Company. Now it's sitting at Horizon Trust Company. Now what will happen is a new LLC is set up, and we actually can help you set that up. An LLC will be set up and owned by your IRA. Okay, so the money comes over, and then the funds will then move into this new LLC that is owned by your IRA. And now that LLC will have a bank account wherever you bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, anywhere you bank. And that LLC now will have that money and can be as a business, working as a business. And all of those proceeds, profits that are made in that LLC that's owned by your IRA go back into your self-directed IRA. That's probably as clean as I can explain it. But if you're interested in doing that, we can kind of break it down a little bit further on the technical stuff as well, how it's listed in the operating agreement, et cetera. But we help you with that. We hold your hand and help you with that. And by the way, it's a great question, because a lot of individuals who get really active meaning they're picking out maybe a few investments or handful of investments with their IRA, it's sometimes easier to do it inside of an LLC. So your retirement funds go from wherever it's at to Horizon Trust Company, then you self-direct it. You tell us to move it from our company to your new LLC that's owned by your IRA. And when it's there, you can take action there and invest in different deals.
All right, perfect. And then we had a couple questions coming through just about, like, so this isn't a vehicle that creates like lifetime income, or is there any guarantees for the investments? Somebody said, how is the company guarantee a return on investment? Assured it's not a scam, that kind of thing. So just want to clarify like what this is. It's not an investment, it's a vehicle, right?
That's right. So our company, our trust company, is not an investment. We are the vehicle, we're the licensed entity, kind of almost like an escrow company, even where our job is to make is to report contributions and distributions to the IRS. Our job is to keep it so it's intact and qualified, so you're avoiding paying taxes, and keep your plan intact. So that's our job. It's your job to choose where it's going to go. So the second that you tell us, I want to move the money from Horizon Trust, our company, to XYZ real estate investment, once it arrives there, the liability lies in that investment. Just like it does right now when you invest it in a stock or a mutual fund. Well, as it's invested, when it sits in cash at Fidelity or wherever you're at in cash, it's insured or guaranteed up to $250,000 typically. But once you invest it in the stock market, it goes up and down. Same with self-directing. But the reason why I like self-directing for me in particular is it's real estate based. So I've always invested in real estate. So even if the market does change, the real estate market has changed right over the last 20 years, in particular last 15, I still own a piece of property. So if the market drops like it did in 2009, yeah, my value of my IRA dropped, but I still own this rental property or this commercial property. So when you own this property and the market comes back up, you're good. You always own property. Unlike typically a stock is paper, right? So if it drops, it goes down, you have no value, you have no real estate that you hold on to. So yeah.
All right, awesome. So let's see. So they're just asking, I might have missed this. Do you provide some training or can you assist with passively investing into various money vehicles? And so I can kind of hit that, Greg, real fast. I mean, you guys, like Brandy was talking on the chat and stuff, like you guys can definitely facilitate, the money movement and make sure things are done the right way and the account's set up properly to avoid the taxes and get the tax-free growth and everything. But ultimately, like you were just saying, it is up to you to make those investments. So, what we do at Money School and why a lot of you are here, what I do with Chris Noggle is we teach our flagship training class. So I'm just going to bring this up real fast. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, so Chris can yell at me later, but we do have, so this is our flagship training. Chris and I have been doing it now for over 2 years. And I mean, if anybody has been through it, that's in the chat box, just tell, I mean, a lot of you have, I know it's a powerful training. And what we do is we bring in different experts that teach this stuff that we've been talking about right now. So alternative investing, so things like real estate, wholesaling, flipping, multifamily, commercial properties. We have one of the top note investors in the country will be there training that weekend. It's all virtual too. So you do it right from your home. We record the entire thing. We have two of the top wholesaling experts in the country coming. Justin Colby and Chris Root will be there. Greg, you're going to, I'm sure, make an appearance, I think, on Friday at it. And so we bring all these people together to teach you how to be smart, take back control of your money and invest it. And then the only difference with what we're doing here tonight is we're investing our money, but we're investing it from our retirement accounts. So that way we're not paying taxes. But again, you need to do this investment. So I'm going to put something in the chat box. If anybody wants to join us for that training coming up in November, I'm going to give you guys $100 off too. So it's 33% off if you use that virtual discount code. And so between now and then, what you can do is you can have a conversation with Brandy, get your retirement account IRA set up so you're ready to go. And then from that 3-day training, now you're ready to start investing and not paying taxes. So check that out. And that's a very powerful strategy right there.
Okay. So let me piggyback on that. I want to just reiterate what you just said. If a lot of people are like, hey, look, I got an IRA, an old 401k. I like this. I got to go find a deal first. Let me find a deal first. That's the opposite order of actually what you got to do. You need to first set up your self-directed IRA account, get your money there. So when the deal comes about, you can take action. And I say that with you, or I share that with you because the action of actually getting your money moved from Fidelity to Charles Schwab, just think about it. When I call Charles Schwab and I'm like, hey, get your money. Stephen wants to move his money over to Horizon Trust. Do you think they just wire the money over tomorrow? Charles Schwab, they like to hold on to it as long as possible. And so what you need to do is if you think that you're going to self-direct any or all of your money, you should absolutely set up the account, get your money rolled over now. And even if it sits, I've had my money sit sometimes for 3 or 4 months doing nothing, but it's waiting for the right opportunity. Because if that one right opportunity comes around, and like that Kurt example I gave you, and you just double that money one time in that year, even though it sat the other half of the year, you're still beating the market. So have the money there available. So when all these opportunities come about, I know, Stephen, you're gonna be talking about a lot of things coming up in November, even mid-October with this launch. There's gonna be opportunities, and you want to have your money available when they come up.
So many opportunities, especially right now with everything going on. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when you're an investor and you see a deal that's available, if you're not ready to take action on that right now, guess what? Somebody like Greg, somebody like Brandy, somebody like Chris, myself, we're going to swoop in and get that deal, and you're out because you're not prepared and ready. And that's one of the lessons I've learned the hard way over the years when it comes to investing. So get that money prepared, get it ready to go. And when those things pop up, boom. And one of the nice things, I'll just add real fast too, one of the reasons I love working with you guys, Greg, at Horizon Trust, is you are very good at getting that money to where it needs to go when it needs to be there. Because if you're sending money to an escrow company for a real estate deal and that money doesn't get there on time, guess what? You might lose that entire deal. And there's trust companies out there that if they do something wrong or they're not there to help you and they don't get that money moved out of your account the way it needs to be done, boom, you're missing that thing. So you guys are very good at that service and speed aspect. And that's important when it comes to real estate investing. And I really give it credit, Greg, that you started out as a real estate investor in the beginning and then started the trust company. So you were, and like you said, it solved your problem because you had that issue with other companies. So I think with your experience in understanding that, and I obviously I've been in you guys' meetings before in the past and stuff like that. And I know you really harp on your entire team. Hey guys, we got to make this stuff happen. So just know that Greg and his team are on your side as investors when it comes to all this stuff.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Actually, that's probably good kudos to our team. Really, I got to tell you, like accuracy and speed are the most important 2 things we can do. And I feel like that is how we're different than any of our competitors. I mean, if we can help you save, like getting your money transferred over in 14 days, rather than 21 or 28 days, that's 2 weeks of time that some trust companies take just to get the money there. That's 2 weeks of interest you'd earn on something. So we take a lot of pride in that, and our team does, it's very important. And then when you ask us for money to go out, to be sent somewhere, we're very quick. I mean, I don't think we take longer than 2 days ever. Maybe once in a while if we don't have the complete documents, but we're a lot of times same day money going out. So that's really important to us. Yeah.
All right, cool. So just the penalties if you withdraw early. I know that the Roth has some strange stipulations where you can take it out early sometimes, right? Or do you want to clarify on that a little bit?
Typically, when you take out early, I'm not sure. I mean, if you're talking about like taking your money, I don't know. You got to clarify that taking it out early, because there's whatever IRS rules that you currently have. Let's say you have a Roth or traditional at Fidelity. The rules are the same. Our rules are not different as far as the tax rules and taking money out, putting it in and out. The only difference with us is where you can invest it, but the rules are the same. So there's no penalties. But I just feel like the question might need a little more detail. I don't know if we're answering the exact question they're looking for.
And maybe just to clarify, so when you move, if you have like a Fidelity IRA or an old 401k, just remember when you move it to Horizon, you're not withdrawing the money. It's a direct transfer. So there are no penalties, no taxes, nothing like that at all. But yeah, that's Greg, right. I mean, if you withdraw money from an IRA, I mean, it's like a 10%, early.
That's right. If you take it out early, right, you get a penalty and you pay taxes, but that's the case no matter wherever you're at.
Right. Okay, cool. This is a strange question. Do you want to talk about how you make money helping others set up self-directed IRAs?
How you make money? Yeah. Well, yeah, I can tell you that. Okay. Well, the best example I can give you is the simplest answer I can give you is the one that I started my business with, right? The example I gave. So I made money by trying to find someone to be my business, my equity partner on funding my deal. So when the money comes over, so my way of making money with other people and getting them to self-direct is I would introduce them. In this example, I'd say, hey, so-and-so friend, do you want to be in my real estate deals? Awesome. Let's get your account set up with Horizon Trust Company. Once it gets over there, you can partner with me with your IRA. And that's how I would make money when someone else opened up a retirement account with Horizon Trust. And I've done that over and over. I did that, my first 10 years of my career with many, many individuals. And then I've now do that with my own money. I now lend my money to different individuals in different real estate deals. And so that's how you can leverage and make money on other people's retirement accounts. But also in the same time, they're making money, because now they're investing in your deals.
Love it, man. So Richard said, how do you self-directed as opposed to IBC? And I think I saw another one earlier about that, like what's better, self-directing or infinite banking. And it's completely two different worlds. I mean, it's like we talked about at the beginning, one of the nice things about self-directed is if we have a traditional account, we're saving money on taxes now, which is putting more money in our pockets today, which allows me to put more money into my banking policy to go out and do more investing with. If it's a Roth, then all of that growth, especially if I'm investing in things like businesses and startups and maybe some more risky stuff that have higher returns. But if I'm going for that real high growth within my tax-free Roth, then that's worth it to me, because all that money, if I make millions of dollars, thousands of percent returns, that's all tax-free. Where with my infinite banking policy, I have tax-free growth within the policy, but it's nothing to get excited about. The excitement of infinite banking is getting that tax-free growth within the policy and simultaneously taking out and making investments. But the problem with that is the investments I'm making, the gains I'm making for my policy, I am paying taxes on. So again, I just want to look at complete the circle, the money I'm making on taxes from those investments, maybe I dump that into a traditional to save money on taxes, which again gives me more money to put more money in the IBC. So it's all a process. And again, we just want to look at and be smart with the different types of money. So self-directing is qualified retirement funds. IBC to me is everything else outside of that. And then the third group, if you want to look at it, is leveraged money. So things like HELOCs or different, bank loans and stuff like that, where we're leveraging money somehow, and we're doing something with it that way too. So those are kind of like the three areas that might have. So I always look at any cash I have, any money that's not going in retirement accounts, get as much as I can in the IBC. Anything I have in the retirement accounts, be as smart as I can with those investments, because that's all tax-free or tax-deferred growth. And then let me leverage what I can when it makes sense. And so you got to look at it that way.
You nailed it. I mean, I would just, there's no wrong answer to that. There's not like it's this and not that. You definitely can and should do both things. I think everyone, I know Chris does it. We do both things. You can absolutely do both. And there's certain monies you can use outside of your retirement plan that you pay your own bills and pay off vacations, et cetera, and credit cards, and other monies in cars, like we talk about buying cars with the policies. And then there's other monies that you're not paying tax on. So yeah, it works.
All right. Charges paid to Horizon. You want to talk a little bit about how your fee structure works, which is awesome.
Yeah. So our first year annual setup is it's $19.95. Includes an LLC as well for all you guys that want a solo K. It's so for $2,000 you get an LLC. Your first year fees and annual fees and setup fees are all included. And then every year thereafter, it's less than 1%. So it's anywhere from 25 basis points to 1%, basically 99 basis points. So the larger your account, the smaller our fee is. Just to give you an idea what that is, most of our clients are paying between 2 and 3% wherever they may be, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, et cetera. Our fees, you're going to find out, and we'll help you, by the way. Once we see what your account is, we'll figure out which account is right for you. And the fees are all about, they're pretty similar, but they are different based upon certain different accounts. But we'll do a strategy session with you to find out which is the right one for you. But I will tell you, I can assure you that our fees are less than whatever you're paying right now. So wherever you are right now, it's less than that. But I'd say the average fee is about 0.5% per year. That's what it is per year. And I'll also, since fees do come up once in a while, one thing that's great, I feel like that I'm very proud of is our fee schedule. We include everything. There's no nickel and diming. And so if you want to wire every single day and overnight, 2-day mails, whatever the case is, we expedite fees. We don't charge those things. Everything's included. In fact, we even give you different events. You get event tickets to different events that might be $500 to $1,000 a ticket to go to different events. And we get a special allotment for different events throughout the year. And our members and our clients get tickets to all these events. And so it's our job is really, we want to be quick and accurate, but also give you a lot of education and feedback. And that's what we do.
Yeah, that's it gives me some good ideas actually for the future too. All right, that's all the questions. Anybody else have any other questions coming through? Here we go. Morgan said, is an LLC required to have a self-directed IRA?
No, an LLC is.
I
Oh,
guess
well,
do you have a fee, like a different fee without the LLC if they don't need it, I guess?
oh yeah, if there's not, if you don't need an LLC, it's a little bit less. In fact, I'm not Brandy probably helped better with that, but just set up the call. It's less if you're not doing the LLC for sure. In the question as well as you do not have to have an LLC with your self-directed. We've just found a lot of our entrepreneurs, business owners like to have the LLC option, and it's really just a one-time thing, by the way. So it's a one-time cost up front, and then after that, our fee is less than 1% per year. So yeah.
And I guess I could add too, I don't know if you mentioned this, but if you're transferring funds from like an old 401k or another retirement account, you can actually use your retirement funds to pay that fee too. So, right?
Yeah, correct. So in fact, I would say 99% of our clients, all the fees are paid from the retirement account. You don't have to pay them with your credit card. They're paid out of the retirement account when they arrive. So yeah, that's how fees are paid.
Now, is there a minimum to transfer?
We don't like to take accounts less than a couple $1,000. So less than $3,000 is kind of what but there's not technically a minimum. You can open. In fact, I will say the other thing for many of you, if you don't have a retirement account, you can open up one from scratch. We'll help you do that as well. So you can open up a $5,000 or $6,000 Roth IRA from scratch, and we'll help you do that also.
Okay, cool. And then somebody asked a good question earlier. Let me see if I can find it. It just had to do with that same thing. Oh, and don't forget too, if you don't have an old 401k or an IRA already, they can set you up with a new one, and you just start funding it on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. You can fund it annually. You have complete control on how you fund that thing each year as well. So you don't have to have an existing one to do this. You can start one brand new.
And that's kind of the power of that. Some of those examples I gave, an individual is putting away 500 or $1,000 a year. It's really, it's similar to IBC, right? I mean, where you're putting away, you borrow the money and then you pay it back every single month. This is a little bit different, but similar, where you make contributions every year in your Roth. It's growing, compounding interest, growing tax-free, and comes out tax-free.
Okay, cool. And then the last thing somebody had talked about that I think is pretty cool, but like backdoor Roths. Do you want to hit on that just as kind of a closing thing? Because I think it's a cool strategy, but.
Yeah, so backdoor Roths have changed a bit over time. Some of the rules they've tried to change on it, but basically for those individuals, many of you probably have, like we said, an old 401k or a traditional IRA or SEP or whatever the case may be, but you don't have a Roth. You can actually move over your account to us, and once it's established, we can convert it into a Roth, paying the taxes. The backdoor Roth is typically someone who wants to contribute to a traditional IRA from the beginning. If this makes sense, you open up an account with this traditional, and after you open it up, you then convert it into a Roth account. And there's reasons for doing that. And I don't want to get too technical about that because I can get lost a little bit in translation and go deep into this. But for whoever is asking that question about backdoor Roths, yes, we can do it. It works. There's certain different rules about it as well now, but we can help you with that process. It's not very hard. What I will tell you that most individuals, if you don't have a Roth and you still plan on building money in your retirement account for the next 5 or 10 years, because you're not going to take money for at least 5 or 10 years, you should probably transfer over and then convert to a Roth, pay your taxes, because then later on, taxes, Chris talks about this all the time, taxes are only going up, right? So better to pay your taxes now, let it keep compounding, come out tax-free. But the backdoor Roth, I think I might have saw the comment come back in. Let's just do a one-on-one strategy session on that. It's very simple. We can explain it to you and talk to you how it works for you.
Yeah, I love it. So if I take my pension as a lump sum before I am 59 and a half, will moving into a self-directed IRA with no penalties? Would there be no penalties for doing that?
It's when it comes to pensions, there's different rules. So you're giving me some tougher ones, but most likely not. Typically, all you do is you just move the pension over. It moves over kind of like a direct transfer where you're not paying taxes, goes into a self-directed IRA account when you go to retire. You take that pension and then you can self-direct it. There are certain rules that some companies will have with pensions that if you leave, you got to hold there longer. But I would say 9 times out of 10, you can move it over. But you can't pull it out, because if you pull it out, obviously there's penalties, but you can move it over to a self-directed IRA and there's no penalties.
All right, man, they keep rolling in. We got one more here. I know we got a few more minutes here and we got to wrap, but what is better to have, an account that pays taxes up front and don't pay taxes later, or when you increase the amount of money inside the account, or defer taxes and pay taxes later when the account is larger? I hear pay taxes on the seed, not the larger harvest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of paying on the seed. But a little bit depends upon your current situation right now. I mean, some individuals, it does make sense to pay it, later, because you're looking for the tax write-off right now. You might need the tax write-off right now. And so that's why you're doing that type of an account. I would say almost always, if you can afford paying the taxes now, pay it now. So that way you pay it on the seed, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free. Almost always.
And the best news is you don't have to pick. You can do both.
Yeah, that too.
All right, awesome, man. We got through all the
All
questions. Right. I think that was a hot one. We got a bunch of questions rolling in. We usually don't get that many on these things. So that was good. What do you guys think? Everybody like this? All right, so I'll put the links in one more time here for to schedule a call with Greg and Brandy and the team. So make sure you guys get those calls scheduled. Hop on, get your personal situations. Obviously there's a lot of like, well, what if this, what if that? Can we do this? Can we do that? And, Brandy's pretty much taught me everything I know about this stuff, and I feel like I know a lot about it. So she'll definitely take care of you and figure out whatever your situation is and help you guys out. And they really are. This team really is here to help you. Like they're not here to like, I want every single one of your dollar. I'm going to jam you into this or like they're here to truly, honestly help you with this situation and make sure you're going to be able to put yourself in the best position to retire financially secure, because it's a problem that 95% of Americans do not and are not able to retire at the age they want to, when they want to, in the financial situation that they want to. And so this is one of those tools that's going to allow you to take full advantage of everything, all the rules, what the wealthy do, what the rich do, and do the same thing and get yourself to where you need to be. So Greg, Brandy, Claudia, really appreciate you guys being here. Greg, if you want to close it out, that'd be great.
Thanks for having me. And look, one of my slides said it's not too late. And I want to echo that. It is definitely not too late. Stop sticking with the hope and pray. Take action, get going. And we love to work with you. We're looking forward to working with every one of you. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Brandy, thank you. We will, we'll see you guys soon. Claudia, thanks. Guys, have a great night. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next time.